Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media, and this is hashtag Salam Media Highlights with myself, Salano Makwidiri. And in a bit, we'll be addressing a very, very tragic and ongoing issue, the targeting of journalists in Gaza. I think recently we also on the news and on various social media platforms. The Al Jazeera journalist Ismail Al-Gol and photographer Rami Al-Rifi were killed in an Israeli strike while on assignment. And that brings the number of Al Jazeera journalists killed in Gaza to 5, all reportedly targeted by direct strikes. The international community's response has been, I think we can all agree, very, very insufficient, and raising serious concerns about the safety of journalists in conflict zones and the need for protective measures. And to discuss this very, very critical issue, we are joined by Yousef Alhelou, a freelance journalist and political analyst based in London. Yousef is going to be offering his valuable insights into the challenges faced by journalists in Gaza and just the broader implications for press freedom and international law. Yousef, thank you so much for joining us. Welcome to Salam Media.
Thank you for having me.
I think first and foremost, just your reaction to the recent killings of Ismail Al Gholi and Rami Al Rifi, and how these events impact the journalism community, not just in Gaza but the world over. As you've seen in the last couple of months, at least since the 7th of October, almost 120 journalists being targeted and killed in Gaza. Your thoughts on this?
Yes, today marks the 300 days since Israel's genocidal war started. Unfortunately, the world is watching the Palestinians of Gaza being massacred day and night for the past 10 months, and Israel enjoys impunity. That's why the killing of innocent people, including journalists, continue. Yesterday, Israel assassinated our brave colleague Ismail al-Ghul, who has been reporting since the start of this genocidal war, and he was killed intentionally. His car was targeted, and he was killed along with his cameraman. And this brings the total number of Palestinian journalists killed and assassinated to 165, which makes it the highest number of journalists ever killed in any conflict worldwide. It's shocking and it's frustrating that the international community is watching these atrocities and is unable to say stop to Israel. We know that the suffering of Palestinians, I can tell you, our suffering started in 1948, 76 years ago. It didn't start only during this genocidal war. And this is the first digital genocide
All right, we seem to have lost our guest there, Yusuf. But while we try to get him back on air, I think this is a perfect opportunity for you to interact with us and give us a call, follow us on various social media, and tell us what are your thoughts. What do you think should be done at this point to better protect journalists and to protect media practitioners who are literally our only source, our ears and eyes out in Gaza, because without the journalists, without the media practitioners that are practicing in Gaza, I think what we are seeing right now would have been at a larger scale, because there wouldn't be ears and eyes on the ground, people that are capturing these images and bringing them to us in real time. Because I think this is literally, the first genocide, I think, I don't know, in human history, perhaps, that's literally being live streamed. We're able to watch it live. We're able to watch those images. We're able to, listen, to those stories of, the victims of this genocide tell us firsthand as it happens in real time. That they are being slaughtered by the Israeli genocidal regime. And I think we will try and get Yusuf back, but you can give us a call. You can follow us on all our social media. This interview is live on our YouTube platform, is also live on our Facebook platform, and on our various platforms, including our website, which you can visit www.salammedia.com. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll try and link up with Yusuf again. He's coming to us live from London, having a bit of a technical glitch, but this is a very, very important conversation, so we'll try and have him back and to make sure that we unpack this very, very important discussion right after this.
Joining hands. Salam Media.
لا تقل لوحدي أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Kids these days are smart, and when you're competing for their attention against their smartphones, you need to make smart choices, like using Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil in every meal you make. It's naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether you're cooking, frying, or baking, you get the great tasting results that'll get their attention faster than the latest app. And if that doesn't work, change the Wi-Fi password. Sunfoil. Now we're cooking.
Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.
لا تقل لوحدي أو كيف السبيل.
Humanity sets the agenda.
Welcome back. You're still tuned in to Salam Media, your home of humanitarian journalism. Before we went to the break, we're still trying to reconnect with Yousef Alhelou, who's coming to us live from London. Yousef, thank you so much for reconnecting. Before we went to that short air break, we were just talking about just the impunity that the Israeli genocidal machine is now, perpetuating, the murders and the targeting of journalists. And you are still giving us your reaction to the recent killings of Ismail Al-Qawli and Rami Al-Rifi.
Yeah, today marks the 300 days since the start of Israel's genocidal war, and the killing of civilians, including journalists, continued unabated for the past 10 months. It was a sad moment for us to lose our brave colleague Ismail Al-Ghul and his cameraman Rami Arifi, and this brings the total number of Palestinian journalists to be killed so far to 165, which makes it the highest number of Palestinian journalists killed in any conflict around the world. The international press must intervene in order to ensure the safety of Palestinian journalists who, clearly marked as press and wear the vests and the helmets, but this gear doesn't help Palestinians. Uh, Unfortunately, international journalists and the press, they are not allowed to enter into Gaza because Israel is imposing a media censorship, and it's up to those Palestinian journalists, the brave journalists who defy the threats and fear and bombardment, and they continue to report nonstop despite the hazards, despite being hungry, despite having to have a normal life for the past 10 months. Unfortunately, the world is allowing these atrocities to happen. Israel is enjoying this impunity. It has never been held accountable, and this is ongoing amid international apathy, amid international double standards, amid international hypocrisy. We are frustrated. People in Gaza, including my family, they miraculously survived 300 days of massacres, but I lost my sister, I lost my nephews and nieces, cousins, and so far almost 100,000 Palestinians either killed or injured, in addition to thousands who are still buried under the rubble. Gaza has been leveled to the ground. There is a starvation taking place in the northern part of Gaza where my family lives. What else I can tell you? It's really sad and shocking that the world is enjoying themselves while their fellow human beings are being massacred and starved to death. And so many Palestinians were taken captives from Gaza recently, and they were subjected to torture. Over 100 Palestinians abductees lost their lives as a result of the torture. We know people are with us. People are showing solidarity. Millions took to the streets worldwide, including in South Africa. Our brothers and sisters there, we salute you, and we know that you stand firm with us. But it's the governments, the Western governments, that disregard Palestinians because, unfortunately, we are not white. When it comes to Ukraine, we've seen how they rushed to rescue people in Ukraine. But it's a different matter. Palestinians, Gazans, they are left alone to face their destiny.
And I think, if there's one thing that is starting to be clear is the fact that the Israeli genocidal machine doesn't want any ears and eyes anywhere near Gaza. That's why this deliberate, assassinations and the killings of journalists continue to happen. I think sometimes we forget and we take for granted just how important those journalists are. If you can maybe just give insight on if they want any journalists, if they want any media practitioners anywhere near Gaza, just how much more, the Israeli genocidal machine, of the atrocities that they have already, enacted, how much more would they've done if they want any journalists around?
So they closed Gaza. It's a military closed zone, and international journalists, they are not allowed into Gaza. They have imposed media censorship. It's not easy to get internet access to upload the materials. Even the satellite vans, it's not safe at all to move around. They could be targeted any moment. And because there's a need to cover these non-stop violations and crimes, ordinary people, they have become citizen journalists. Even influencers, they took to their they took the dangers and they transformed their context, their content, and they started broadcasting. Israel does want to hide its crimes. What you see is only 5 or 10% maximum of what's happening in Gaza. There is shortage of coverage in Gaza, especially in the north. So many journalists either killed or fled, or they are afraid to report because they received threats to their to themselves, to their families. That's why the presence, the presence of internet of international journalists is important. But each war, in each aggression onslaught, Israel shuts the borders and preventing journalists from coming into Gaza. Only embedded journalists for foreign press, such as Fox News, and we know how biased these American media outlets to the Israeli army, and they only can report of what the IOF wants them to see. So much going on, unbelievable. The destruction, the death is all happening for fun. Detonating universities, hospitals, mosques, churches as well. It's all happening for fun. They are living in Gaza. They are wiping out entire residential areas just to make life unbearable and just to punish the population. What's happening is a form of collective punishment.
With more than 120 journalists having been killed by the Israeli occupying forces in Gaza since October last year, only 29 of those cases, are pointing to intentional targeting. Why do you think the number is so low, in relation, to the deaths? The 120, only 29. I'm sure this is clear that there's definitely a cover up here.
Israel accuses some of those journalists that it killed that they were filming the penetration that happened on the 7th of October. We know there is shy condemnation when it comes to the Palestinian journalists. International press bodies, syndicates, they issue condemnations, but it's not enough. Yeah, many appeals were made by Palestinian journalists. Please, pressure the Israelis to respect the international, treaties when it comes to journalists, despite the fact they are marked, their vehicles are marked as a press or TV, and they wear the protective gear, the helmets, the vest. It's not protecting the journalists. We know that those international bodies, they are shy, or maybe they are coward. They are not really taking things seriously to investigate these attacks. Many journalists, even they were killed before during normal ground incursions. And many of those journalists, they work for international media outlets such as Reuters or AP or AFP. Unfortunately, there is no accountability. This is in short. Palestinian lives don't matter.
And I think if there's one thing that everyone listening from all across the world would probably be asking themselves is, as a normal citizen that's pro-Palestine and understands and feels for the plight of the Palestinian people, and not having much power, but just being a regular person, what can they do? What more can they do outside of going out into the streets and protesting, and making sure that their governments at home hear their voices, because it's quite clear that the Israeli government is now going to escalate their attacks. We've seen what's been happening in the last week and also this past week. The escalation is clear. What can the normal men and women on the ground do?
Well, I mean, raising awareness is important to start to keep talking about the root cause of the conflict. It was never about the 7th of October. It's about the illegal occupation of Palestinian lands. It's about the settler, thuggish, violent attacks against Palestinians in the West Bank and Jerusalem as well. It's not only happening in Gaza. There is a need to pressure the governments to impose the pressure in Israel to stop these violations, to talk to ambassadors and say enough is enough, to stage peaceful protests mechanisms such as boycott Israeli products or institutions, or don't perform inside Israel. This pressure can work at some point. Some people, they say that there is a need to keep protesting day and night, because what's happening in Gaza has been normalized. The world lives normal life now. Unfortunately, it's really painful. Whereas other people in Gaza, they live in the world's largest concentration camp. It's a big prison, and there is no place to flee. There is no safe place to go. People are being starved to death. Can you believe in the 21st century, people cannot find the food and the water because an occupying power decides to kill them slowly. There is so much can be done. The pressure should be continued, and the government should be pressured. Talk to your local MPs, and really, I'm being asked this question all the time. What can we do? Some people, they choose to send donations to strengthen the morale and steadfastness of Palestinians on the ground. But with Israeli restrictions still in place, none of this aid can go into Gaza, because Israel controls what goes in, what goes out. They control the sky, they control the sea, they control everything. Gaza is under digital genocide, is under digital and technological siege. Just to pray for us, really. Just people in Gaza, they are waiting for miracles to happen, because despite all these protests for the past 10 months, it didn't change anything.
And just last before I let you go, I think another story that has grabbed our attention here in South Africa is those protests at Southport Mosque, where those protesters have been clashing with the police and they've attacked a mosque. If you can give us a bit more background and insight on that and what happened in that part of the world.
Oh, you mean the attack that happened here in the UK?
Yes.
So there is English Defence League. It's a far right wing, anti-migrants, anti-Muslim, anti-Arab movement. They don't want to see foreigners in this country. Unfortunately, the police is soft with them, and they attack the police anyway. So they seize the chance. They just create false justifications. They want to attack and stage and show their thuggish and mistreatment to minorities here in the UK, whether they are black or not, or brown, or Muslims, or Arabs, or whatever. So they assume that the person who carried out the knife attack was a Muslim, but it wasn't. It was a person originally from Rwanda, and he was born in Cardiff here. So they just wanted to violate the peace while people were performing a candle vigil, to pay tribute to the families of those three little girls who were knifed to death. Unfortunately, there is Islamophobia is on the rise in the UK and many other European countries, because the governments are not seriously intervening to stop this growing bad phenomena.
All right, we're going to leave it there. Yousef, thank you so much for joining us and giving us your time. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
It was Yousef Alhelou coming to us live from London, having a short discussion about the impunity that the Israeli government now continues in not just killing the civilians out in Palestine and in Gaza, but also targeting journalists, the only people that are bringing us those stories, those first-hand lived realities of the people of Palestine, the people of Gaza, because they know without them. The world is essentially blind because they have put that embargo on international journalists to enter Gaza and to enter Palestine, and only Palestinian journalists who are residing there and are born there and are working there are the only ones that are allowed to practice and give us the first-hand realities of what's happening and stream for us that genocide in real time. So now there's a target on that, and that only screams one thing is the fact that now they want to escalate the genocide and that they don't want the world to have its eyes and ears looking and preying on their horrific thuggish criminal behavior that they're perpetuating. So yeah, I think it's going to be really, really interesting going forward. But our condolences go out to our colleagues out in Gaza this past week, Ismail Al-Goli and his cameraman Rami Al-Rifi. I think they're a stark reminder of just how important the field is and the responsibility that it comes with, because without the journalists out in Gaza, we wouldn't know. They would be carrying out all of those evil deeds with impunity, which they are already, but at least now we have an idea. We can, tell and see, the beheading, the killing, the shooting, and the constant bombardment of children and women and the people of Gaza, who right now literally have nothing else to hold on to except their faith. We're going to take a quick break. After that, we'll continue with Salam Media Highlight.